Welcome to the Divorce Angel podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Summerton. Attention business owners, senior managers and executives. Your successful separation begins right now. We have the answers to the questions you did not even think to ask. Let's face it, you're already successful in your career and we're here to help expand your knowledge and limit your costs by designing a strategy for your divorce. We take all that business knowledge you've acquired and we put it to work. With proven strategies, systems and processes, we've saved our clients tens of thousands in legal fees and helped define their future. And now we're doing the unthinkable. We're revealing the secrets the lawyers have tried to hide and giving you our formula for 5 steps to a seamless divorce. We're changing the world one divorce at a time, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the Divorce Angel podcast. I hope you've had a really great week. Today I wanted to talk to you about my business pillars because last week I discussed a pillar in my podcast about fear and someone then asked some further questions and they wanted to understand what the business pillars meant. And because I've been where you are and I know what it's like, the interesting thing is I've learnt from my mistakes and I've also got some of the most amazing people that work with me. Like I am truly blessed. But not just that, each and every client that we work with gives us more information, more metrics, more insight into what is going wrong in the divorce process. And I always like to say that the way most people, and I'm saying 99.5% of people get divorced, is the antiquated way. Like I am so passionate about the way people get divorced is so wrong that someone needs to do something about it. And it's my purpose, it's my driver. My job is to get out there and explain to you what isn't working so you don't make the mistake. I've made a goal of giving away as much information as I possibly can. Like if you've gone through my podcast, you would see that I give away a lot of information. Now, I get no benefit from this podcast other than the joy that I get from bringing it to you. But it costs me money. I have a team that need to edit it. We have to upload it. We've got to pay for all of the privileges of me bringing this podcast to you. But I do it because the bigger goal for me is getting this message out there, getting it out to every single country out there to say, stop, what is happening is not okay. It's simply not okay for people to be losing their houses and getting into such financial distress over the task of getting divorced. Now, divorce does not need to be difficult. We humans make it difficult, and we make it difficult for many reasons. And it's those many reasons that we coach our clients to try and prevent them from doing what other people are doing. So what we're trying to prevent is, in some cases, what the bad lawyers are trying to instigate. They're trying to instigate animosity. They're trying to instigate fighting because they know if they can get that to happen with a couple, cha-ching, ching, they're going to make a fortune. And we don't want that. But just like for instance, when you first learnt to ride a bike, you fell off. You got back on. You did it again and again and again until you got the hang of it. But divorce is something that we only ever want to do once. Sometimes, we don't ever want to do it at all. But if we're in that unfortunate position that some would look upon and say, well, unfortunately, you're getting divorced. For me, I don't look at it that way, but some people do. You're not going to be doing it over and over and over and over again, and therefore you're not going to learn the lessons. But because we've learnt the lessons, we've got the metrics, we've got the tools, we've seen the benefits, we've seen the outcomes, we know what works and what doesn't work. And because of that, there's no doubt in my mind that we have the answers. And let me just give you this metaphor, or sometimes I say to some people, when there's 2 people in a conversation, it's just a conversation. When there's 4 people is enough to have a party, or 4 people is enough to start a war. And in most divorces, there could be you and your ex, and you bring more people into that equation, and before you know it, you have a war. So just be very, very careful who you bring into that conversation with you, because you much prefer to have a party than a war. So let me get into how this works. So if you're not going to use my business, which is 100% okay with me because that's why I share these free details, let me give you some insight into what we do so you can implement some of this into your life. I've already spoke before about the 5 steps to a seamless divorce, but I'm just going to quickly go through them again. Now, the 5 stages that we have, and we did used to have what was known as the victim stage. And it never really sat well with me that it was called victim, because victim can be a lot of things. But I've changed that now to warrior, because we all at the very start do nothing but lay awake at night worrying about our futures. We are so consumed with our past that we just lay awake worrying all the time. And the truth is, the past is gone. The past is over. There's nothing you can do about the past. But it's all consuming. What did I do wrong? How did this happen? How did I find myself here? And that's the very first stages of our 5 steps to a seamless divorce. The second part is overwhelm. Now, overwhelm is where we understand what needs to get done, and the preparation of trying to get to the next stage is just, there's so much. Like, where do you start? What should you do? And you're so attached to a specific outcome that to get it just holds you in inaction and complete and utter overwhelm. And so our job is to get you out of that overwhelmed and to get you unattached to the overwhelm or to the outcome that you want. After overwhelm, we have acceptance. And it's at this stage where we're really starting to get some momentum now and really start to get a really good outcome for our clients. At acceptance, that's where all of the planning comes into place. And our clients, and this is what I want for you, are actively going out and putting together a solid plan for their future. They're putting together all of their disclosure. They know what they want. They've done their due diligence. They've got in their mind's eye, they can see what their future looks like. They have got a solid plan. After acceptance is focus. And focus is where we were really agile. So before we spoke about the overwhelm stage, and that's where the clients, and this could even be you could find yourself so attached to an outcome that if you don't get it, you're going to feel like you fail. But in some cases, we simply cannot get the outcome that we want. And it could be for many reasons. For instance, it could simply be because you can't afford to keep your house. And because you can't afford to keep your house, you feel like you've been wronged. You feel like you've been punished, where ultimately it could be the best thing for you. And I hold my clients' hands as we go through this, because this is what happens at the focus stage. The clients are so agile. In other words, they are prepared to go either way. Like, it's like a basketball game, and they're defending, they're jumping back and forth, or they're attacking, and they know does not matter what outcome they get, it will be okay because they're fully planned. So because they're planned, and once again, go back to the scenario of keeping the house, if they can't keep the house, and we've done our due diligence to see that they can't keep the house, such as serviceability for the loan, what does the future prospects of the property look like, can their budget sustain maintaining the house, all of those things. Once we've done that planning, then they know for certain, and they're focused that, well, okay, I can't keep the house and this is why. But then they're agile in how they take their next steps and what their future might look like. So it could be renting somewhere. It could be using the money they get out of their divorce to invest into a property. It could be not actually buying at all and putting that money into a managed fund or something else that is best for them. But they are agile in their thinking and they're open to opportunity. And that's what focus brings you. And then the last stage is the warrior stage. Yes, I got through this. Because if you've been through a divorce, certainly if you've been through it the old way, it's like you're in a war and it's like you've battled. So you are a warrior. Yes, I've succeeded. And it's at that stage that it's all about prosperity and what does the future look like. And to be honest, all the negativity and everything that could have gone wrong is probably over and done with and all forgotten. So as you can see, they're the 5 steps. Now, this is the rule here. If you do not address any of these steps and you miss one of them, it's like a game of snakes and ladders. And I've seen it time and time again. If you miss one of these stages, you slide all the way back and have to start all over again. And I have proof of this because I've had clients or people that have rang me and gone through all of this, decided to do it themselves, has cost them a fortune. Then they've rang me up and said, can I start working with you again because this is what's happened? Because they haven't addressed every part of these 5 steps. So don't be that person. Make sure you address each of them. So you go from warrior to overwhelm to acceptance to focus to warrior. All right. Okay, now let's move into the business pillars. And this is what needs to happen for a successful divorce. You need to have 3 of these things because ultimately the outcome that we all want is we want financial security, we want freedom to make the right decisions and freedom in our life, and we want to make sure that we've protected our families. So finances, freedom, and family. They are the 3 outcomes that I would suspect everyone listening right now would want from their divorce. Now, to get those outcomes, we need to have these 3 pillars that we've built our business around. And the first pillar is an expert team. Now, the expert team has to have these 4 parts in it. We need to have emotional support. And that can be anywhere from a counsellor, a psychologist, a GP, even a really close girlfriend. It can even be someone like myself, like a divorce coach as such. Then you need the legal support. And of course, that comes back to having the proper lawyer, solicitor, attorney to be able to provide you the information that you need. Then the next part of your team is the financial support, whether that be a mortgage broker, an accountant, a financial advisor. All of those financial pieces are really critical to a successful outcome. And as I said last week, those 3 together are what I call life support, because we need each of those people to be able to help us to make the right decisions to support our life moving forward. So that is the one part of our business pillars. Then the next part is insight. Now, insight is really important because you want to make sure that whoever you are dealing with inside that expert team have proven results. They have the results to be able to help you to get to where you need to go. And the proven results are what saves you the money, but you need to understand the right questions to be able to get that information out of your expert team. The next part in insight is making sure that you have a divorce strategy. And when we go back to the 5 steps to a seamless divorce, that's where we're talking about the preparation and the planning stage. It all comes down to the strategy. What do you want and can you afford to keep it or to have it? Then the knowledge. Knowledge is so important. You want to make sure that you have the knowledge that the steps that you are taking are the right ones for you. The next part of insight is time management, because time is money and no more so than when you're getting divorced. And the other thing with time management, which is so critical, is the cost of opportunity. So if you sit there and you're stagnated in your decisions, or you're not moving forward, or you think that this is all going to go away, opportunity could be right in front of you right now and you're just not taking it because you can't, because you're so involved in all of the thoughts of the negativity and what you need to get done, or that you can't take that step because you're tangled up somewhere else. So time management is both of those things. Not only time is money, but the opportunity that you could be losing because you're not getting your stuff sorted out is also a cost. And then structured thinking. I want you to make sure that you are really structured around your thinking. So not emotional thinking. Emotions in divorce are what costs money. We need to separate the two. So structured thinking and making sure that you are really getting the outcome that you need and you've thought through the process of why. And then the experience. And this is, for me, my experience of what I've gone through, and then knowing when I'm in a meeting with my clients, asking the questions that they didn't even think to ask because they haven't been there. How would you know what to ask if you don't even know that the question exists? So when it comes to the outcomes that we want for finance, freedom and family, we need to have both expert team and those insights to be able to get those three outcomes. And then the last business pillar that we have is what I like to call life alignment. And this is something certainly that in the current industry, or what I call the divorce industry, is just not happening. And you could call it woo-woo, you could call it whatever you want to call it. But let me ask you this. Have you accessed your intuition throughout this whole process? Because deep inside of you, there was something telling you that either something wasn't right or something needed to change. And did you listen to that? And people often say, and this is where I come back to the metrics and learning from client after client after client. And the more we do, the more data we have and the more answers we have to help people deal with divorce. But everyone says, every single person says, when it's all over with, if only I had listened to myself, if only I'd listened to the signs that my body was giving me, whether that was illness, sickness, feeling sick in the stomach, butterflies, whatever it was, accessing that intuition is key to getting a really good outcome. And then also, once you've learnt to listen to it, it helps you make the right decisions moving forward and for your future. The other thing when we're talking about this pillar under life alignment comes community. You want to make sure that you've got people around you that understand what you're going through, that aren't trying to boycott your decisions or influence your decisions on their experiences or what their interpretation of what's happened is, because that can be very dangerous. And if you've been listening long enough, you would hear me often talk about we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So just be very, very mindful of the people that you are listening to. And that's why in our divorce community, everyone is either at the same stage or they've learnt and are helping others. And it's really important to make sure you learn from people's mistakes and don't do the same thing, but you also learn from what they did right so that you can then do it right. And then out of this becomes peace, power, and prosperity, because you get the peace inside of you and the power to know that what you're doing is right for you. And prosperity can be anything you want it to be. It can be wellness, it can be money, it can be whatever it is that ultimately is your goal. So it's so important. And all together under this life alignment, we just get a really successful future. So there are 3 pillars. So once again, let me just recap. Expert team, which is emotional support, legal support, financial support, and altogether we get life support. Then we've got insight, so proven results, strategy, knowledge, time management, structured thinking, and experience. And then the third one is life alignment. So accessing intuition, community, peace, power, and prosperity, and then the future. Now, this is the key for you. If you want a successful divorce, you cannot get the outcomes of freedom, family, and finances unless you have all three of these. So you can't get a successful financial outcome if you just have an expert team and life alignment. You have to have the insights. And you can't get freedom if you don't have the insights and life alignment and you've forgotten the expert team. Like, the scenarios just don't work unless you've got each of these pillars together working for you and for your outcome. And we've done a lot of research into this, and we've asked a lot of questions and spoken to a lot of experts with, in the legal fraternity and the financial fraternity, and people that have gone through divorces and costs a fortune, and then asked them the questions. What do you think was missing? So if you're going through a divorce, these three pillars are so important for you to get the outcome that you want. And the family, finances, and freedom are so important to all of us. That's why we live, don't we? We live to make sure that we've got the right choices, that we've supported our family, that we've got financial backing. And money used to be a dirty word. It's not so much anymore. But without money, we can't help our family. Without money, we can't have the freedom that we need in our life. So it shouldn't be a dirty word. It should be a word that we're striving to build so that we can support what we need to support in our future. So all of those together, that's our secret sauce. That's what makes us so important. And it's just not going to a lawyer. So if you've listened to this, you can see why if you just turn up to a lawyer and ask a question, that's why the outcome is normally very, very bad, because they don't care about the rest of this. If anything, they try and prevent any of that, because if you've got all these things together in this secret sauce, it would save you a fortune in money, and it would cost them, because the more money they can charge you, the more money they make. Divorce should not be expensive. Like, divorce is a process of elimination. We've just got to ask the right questions, and then the answers will eliminate the problems that we've got. But we've just got to go through them one after the other until we get the outcome we need. I really hope some of this has really helped you. You might want to go over this, because I had to fit a lot into this podcast, because we try and make them 20 minutes. Go back over and re-listen again, and make sure that if you're doing this yourself, that you've addressed some of these key points, because I've given away some gold in here, and you may need to listen to it over and over and over again to make sure that you've got each of these pillars in your own situation. Now, if you'd like us to give you a helping hand, that's what we're here to do. Go to my website, and you can go, even if you want some free resources, go to the Action Centre on my website. There's free resources there. Get involved in those. Go through them. Make sure that you are immersing yourself in that content, because it will help you save a lot of money. Okay, guys, it was great to talk to you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to the Divorce Angel podcast. Go behind the scenes of my business to learn the secrets no one else will share. Deep dive into the Divorce Angel process and listen to our most popular episodes over at tanyasummerton.com. If you love this episode of the podcast, do me a favour and head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review so we can reach more people and change more lives. That's all for now, and I'll catch up with you next week.